Welcome to Mugshots and Murders, Episode 3, The State of Missouri versus the Samurai Killer. In a quiet South St. Louis neighborhood, police discovered a scene so violent it looked like a horror movie. A blood-soaked bathroom, a lifeless man, and beside him, a samurai sword. But this wasn't fiction, this was real life, and the man responsible didn't believe he was human at all. On May 3rd, 2018, inside this small apartment in South City, police found 55-year-old Christopher McCarthy dead on the bathroom floor. Blood splattered across the tile, the walls, and the sink. On the floor, a samurai sword. The man who killed him was 34-year-old Seth Herter, later dubbed by local media the Samurai Killer. The people in the area knew Seth as the dancer on Hampton Avenue. He'd perform on sidewalks, waving his arms to invisible music. What few realized was that he wasn't dancing for attention. He was dancing because he believed he was the Antichrist. To Seth, every honk or stare from a passing driver was confirmation of his divine powers. The delusion felt real, and it was building towards something tragic. Herter invited McCarthy, his former partner, someone he knew as Tim Wilson, over to his apartment. He told police he believed people were hiding inside his walls. By the time the night ended, McCarthy was dead in a blood-drenched bathroom. The next morning, police tracked Herter, nearly 70 miles away, to a roadside motel in High Hill, Missouri. McCarthy's car was parked right outside. Herter was arrested without a fight. But inside his mind, the war was far from over. Diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder in his 20s, Seth had cycled through delusions for years. Reporter Doyle Murphy of the Riverfront Times later interviewed him after he was stabilized on medication. Herter told him, "I got a hair shirt and everything. I believed so many crazy things." He wept as he recalled what happened, pleading, "Please tell people I'm not a monster." Seth's case is more than one man's tragedy. It's a reflection of America's broken mental health system. Let's take a look at how someone can slip through the cracks. In the 1950s, the United States operated over 550,000 public psychiatric beds. By 2022, that number had dropped below 40,000. That's a 93% decrease. While the population has doubled, public health experts recommend 50 psychiatric beds per 100,000 people. Today, we have fewer than 12. And one of the most pivotal turning points came in the 1980s. The Mental Health Systems Act was done away with in 1981. Over the course of that decade, 40,000 beds in state mental institutions were lost. As a result, homelessness and imprisonment both increased. Pressure for dealing with the mentally ill shifted from the U.S. health system to the U.S. justice system, and for many Americans, that's where the responsibility still sits today. With nowhere to go, people in crisis fall through the cracks, cycling through jails, streets, or emergency rooms. Seth's mother, Margie Herter, saw it coming. She told reporters, "A mental hospital is definitely where Seth needs to be." But people don't realize that there's not a lot of help for families dealing with mentally ill relatives. If they are over 18, they can check themselves out of facilities. Clever patients learn to charm doctors or convince them they need less medicine because they're doing so well, or they skip doctor's appointments and declare themselves cured. By the time Seth Herter got the help he needed, it was just too late. In 2022, a St. Louis judge found Seth Herter not guilty by reason of mental illness. Both prosecutors and defense attorneys agreed. He was committed indefinitely to a state hospital, likely for the rest of his life. Defense attorney Brian Cook explained, "Where there's a dead body, it's not unrealistic to expect the person to be held for a substantial period, if not forever. But there is a chance he could get out." For some, Seth Herter will always be the samurai killer, but to others, he's the symbol of a system that stopped caring long ago. Doyle Murphy later wrote, Seth wasn't a monster, but I'll remember the gruesome consequences of a broken system for the rest of my life. We closed the hospitals, we cut the funding, and we told ourselves that mental illness was invisible. But it isn't. It's here, in our streets, our jails, our families. When society abandons the mentally ill, it doesn't end the suffering. It only changes the setting, from hospital beds to headlines. And there really is nothing in between. It's hoping the patient's family can control them and help them stay on their medication, or prison if they can't. Christopher McCarthy is believed to have gone to see about Seth because he knew he was having a difficult time. He cared about him, and it cost him his life. Mental illness does not discriminate, and it comes in many forms. And sometimes there is no family to keep an eye on a person, nobody to get them to take their meds. And in a country as advanced as this one, there should be something that helps a person before they wind up in a jail cell. But for many, that's the hard, unfortunate reality, and the person who gets pushed in front of a subway train or stabbed in the head at the dollar store is collateral damage for a broken system. And we all deserve better. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mugshots and Murders. Please stay safe.